So moving on to, let's say, different approaches which we are looking at. We have discussed two approaches. We move on to the third one, that is the motivation for human social action. So means that are human beings motivated by personal interests or by social values? Personal interests are the individual, within the individual. Social values are at the societal level. Values are the standards of desirability which are determined by the society. Of course, the individuals are part of it, but then overall the society determines what is desirable and what is undesirable. That's the standards of desirability. I might have different interests, but these interests might clash with the social values or the values of the society. So for functionalists, people's motives and behavior is function of the social values. So their emphasis is to uphold the social values. The individual interests may have to be sacrificed for the values of the society. So these social values are internalized. These become part and parcel of the personality. Through the socialization process, these social values are, let's say, internalized, become part and parcel of the society. So their emphasis on the social values is instilled in the human personality. Whereas the conflict theorists see interests as primary or the main force behind every behavior. So they try to bypass or tamper with the social values. So that's where we see the emphasis of the two. Symbolic interactionism sees social values as incorporated into me. And me is what I am as it is desired from other people. I would like to be what others desire I should look like, I should appear like, the way I should dress, the way I should talk, the way I should, let's say, handle the situation. So interests hardly appear over here. In the area of phenomenology, their emphasis is on values rather than on the individual interests. So people trust others to behave in certain situations, specific ways. So the trust is the basis of the behavior. So we expect that everybody is going to behave with respect to, let's say, time, with respect to punctuality, with respect to the work ethic and the performance of the roles. So rational choice theorists look at the importance of social values and tastes, which define people's preferences. So they look for, let's say, individual status, which is again determined by the society. So fourth one was scientific approach. Now, with respect to scientific approach, people usually refer to natural sciences. So their perspective differ in their methods of argument and research. So advocacy is deductive or inductive reasoning. So advocacy of natural science approach is a deductive approach. That is, they spell out the concept, they look at the variables, and then they formulate the hypothesis, and from hypothesis they try to test them and the formulation of the theories. Whereas in the inductive approach, they focus on the reality, and from the reality they would like to generate the hypothesis, and then they might move to, let's say, building the theory. So we see that these are two big approaches within the scientific approach. So functionalism, conflict theory, and rational choice theory, they subscribe to a deductive approach. whereas symbolic interactionism and phenomenology subscribe to inductive approach. So deductive approach uses mostly quantitative data, while inductive approach focuses on qualitative data. So that's how we look at these different, let's say, approaches, and we try to make a comparison of sociological perspectives. So I have tried to present this in this particular, let's say, chart. So we see that perspectives differ in their objective of describing or explaining or even predicting the social realities. The goal could be simply description, goal could be explanation, goal could also be predicting about the realities from what has been analyzed. So each has contributed to human understanding of society. Now, number of questions might emerge. Is this understanding and explanation an end in itself? That is meeting the curiosity. Curiosity with respect to the functioning or working of the, let's say, society. Do we end over here, or does it require something more? Now, can this understanding be used as a means to some other ends? For example, end can be to control and manage the undesirable realities of life. Undesirable realities could be any eventuality or any problems in the society or social problems, economic problems in the society. So scientific deductive explanation is a powerful technological tool with tight statistical correlations and predictions. So that is where we, let's say, try to borrow something from natural sciences, where they might move on to explaining something, and from that explanation they move to something possible, let's say, happenings, and those happenings could be desirable happenings or undesirable happenings. And if we can make that kind of judgment, then we might take some decisions with respect to how to manage those situations. So yes, description is something desirable. It's good. It's a means to understanding, but then it can also be a means to making the explanation of the reality. So description is fine, but from that description we might look at the explanation, how one thing moves with the other. Some kind of, I would say, some kind of relationship. Now, relationship could be causal, may not be causal kind of thing. But if we know the relationship, then we might say that how this situation is going to lead to some other, let's say, thing. So it could be used as a means to predicting, and as I said earlier, in the management of that reality. Management might be managing the undesirable situations, let's say, reducing the undesirable kind of results. So that might, if we can reduce that kind of thing, it could lead to the well-being of the society. So given the complexity of human behavior, social sciences do have limitations in making universal predictions. As the environments differ, the human beings could also differ, then perhaps that is the reason that it becomes difficult for making predictions which could be applicable to all the places, to all the human beings, and to all the societies.